Hello and welcome to my Woolly PhD. My name is Liz Scarf. This is a weekly vlog all about what I am currently learning and making this week in my PhD, all about wool in Iceland. And if you're new here, welcome. Lovely to have you here. You can find a brief overview of the project in the introductory video. Now, I'm supposed to be in Iceland doing fieldwork at the moment, but in an exciting PhD plot twist, I find myself in the UK due to some minor visa issues. And there's nothing wrong, no one's done anything wrong, it's just a timing thing. So I hope to be back in Iceland before the month is out, but let's see. Now, if you watched last week's episode, you might be disappointed to notice that this week I am not in a field with a delightful pig. But honestly, I think that might have been the best episode we'll all see on this vlog. So, I mean, I'd love you to keep watching, but I wouldn't blame you if you kind of got bored from here. And I never watch my own videos, partly I just don't have time, but I don't have a huge amount of interest. But I watched that one. Thanks, Rebella. That was a big experience. I really just thought she was going to come out for a quick hello, but that's all we'd see of her, but she was a star. Anyway, being out of the field, though, has meant I've had a bit more reading time, and I'm reading two non-academic books at the moment that I thought I'd share. I'm enjoying them both a lot. So the first is The Good Shepherd by Gunnar Gunnarsson, and it is an Icelandic novel. It's an old novel, I think from the 30s. Got my glasses on, should have checked this earlier. Just check, because it matters, actually. First published 1936. So it's called Advent in the Icelandic version. I'm not quite sure why it was translated to The Good Shepherd, because they do talk about Advent a lot. It's the day when this man and a dog and a leader sheep they hike into the highlands in search of stray sheep that farmers have left behind. Because when farmers do the first kind of gathering of sheep, they don't get all the sheep, right? So this man takes it upon himself every Advent to go find them, bring them back. Now, I haven't finished it yet, and it's possible they all die, so don't spoil it if you have read it. But what I am finding interesting is the relationship between the three persons, right? So the human, the sheep, and the dog. And the ways that different human people in the story are constructing the relationship between the three, particularly around the skill of wayfinding, because the three of them are all in their own ways very talented at finding their way in the landscape in the highlands and also in inclement weather. And particularly the sheep, of course, is what I'm most interested in generally. If you haven't come across the Icelandic leadership thing, leadership. Oh, okay. It's quite exceptional, right? It's a strain of the breed that are extra intelligent. Sheep in general are very smart as a species, but the leader sheep are extra intelligent. They're basically the leaders in the flock, and they work out how to navigate complex terrain. They're also really good at predicting the weather, and bad weather particularly. And they're very advantageous to have in a flock. They'll keep a flock safe. And in Iceland, mostly it's not predators. There's sometimes lambs can be preyed upon by minks or Arctic foxes, but it's not such a big deal. It's more about the weather and the terrain. And anyway, they nearly died out. But there's been a concerted effort to kind of breed them, and it's reversed it. And there's a whole research centre dedicated to them in Iceland if you want to check it out. And from what I understand, this phenomenon of the leader sheep in this way it's not in other breeds. There's definitely leaders in flocks, and they're usually older ewes. And what I was reading online was saying that the leader sheep is about 80% ewes. But then anecdotally, I've had farmers say, they think it's almost always rams. So I don't know what that is yet. But anyway, it's the sheep in the book is a leader sheep, and the name gets translated to as gnarly, Gnarly. And it's the way that his moods and his opinions are described and interpreted that I think is really important and delightful in this book. Really, I think challenges some ideas and assumptions we can make about anthropomorphizing animals too, and sort of shows the way in which a long-term relationship can mean that you understand what an animal is thinking in some way. And it's not, anyway, I just really recommend the book. It's lovely, especially if you've got a little penchant for sheep. As I said, though, I have not finished it, so I don't know if it's a really sad ending. Yeah, that one, yeah, love it. The second book I'm reading is called The Lost Flock by Jane Cooper. It's such a beautiful cover. Oh my goodness. Now, this book was recommended to me by a not very close friend, actually. You know how you got like your closer friends who tend to know a lot about what's going on in your life, and then just kind of, you know, other people who, it's nice when you see each other, but, you know, this is someone who we'll only see each other by accident. I don't know, it's nice, but anyway, they saw this book in a bookstore in the Netherlands. Like, they're from Australia, they happened to be in the Netherlands, and immediately thought of me and sent me the picture. Now, I love that association, but it's about the resurrection of a rare breed of sheep from the United Kingdom, the Orkney, I don't know if it said Boré or Boré. I'm only a quarter of the way in, and I will say that I think this book needed a little bit more effort in grammatical editing, but it's an interesting story. As both a personal account of this woman's journey and to sort of becoming someone who's rescued this, or been a big significant part of rescuing this breed. And I think it's always really so curious when you hear people recounting, well, I was doing this, and then I found myself doing this, and then that, and all of a sudden I had a sheep farm in this remote Orkney island. And I mean, it's a happy ending. Actually, I don't know, but well, we already know that there's a lot more of this Orkney Boré sheep being bred, and they are on their rare breeding list. They've come down a few categories, so it's already good news, quarter of the way in. But it's also really interesting as a breed account, and thinking about the different ways in which breeds are accounted for and not accounted for, different registration systems, and how that intersects with landscape, because there was the report is around this lost flock in the Scottish Highlands that is not registered because it's too expensive to have somebody go there and find them and register them, because they're basically a feral flock. It's just something about this story that's really, I don't know, tickles me somehow. I like it. But I've already learned some shocking new things about wool and sheep. I don't know why I'm shocked. Like, I think I got to this point where I thought, if it's not in an academic book and it's not in my field research, I'm not going to learn anything new. Like, so from a lay book, I don't know why I developed this thought unconsciously. But anyway, I think I've been cured of that. There's probably lots of amazing lay literature with heaps of really interesting things I don't know about. Problem is, I have come across other lay literature that are saying things about sheep and wool that in other places are just like, no, it's just not true. Like, people are repeating repeating unvalidated kind of stories. And so there's this, I think so sometimes I'm a little bit, you know, is it accurate? Do I have to go sort of fact check it? I think this one is not one of those books, but I have come across some things like this. So maybe that's making me a bit dubious about books I buy in a bookstore. Anyway, a little tangent. What did it get me thinking about? It's really got me thinking about the importance of preserving breed diversity. Is it important? Why is it important? Why do we think it's important? Why is it important to us culturally, personally, economically? I don't know, right? It brings up for me notions of change and thinking about resisting change, preserving tradition? When do you try to preserve something? When do you accept that, this is just a change process that has to happen? Of course, there's some grief involved and it changes our social milieu, but it's change and, of course things change. And then it's a big deal. If we lose this, it's actually a problem, blah, blah. We should work to keep it. I don't know. How do we know? Anyway, it's got me thinking deep thoughts about that. But also if I think about rare sheep breeds specifically, right, merino wool dominates the global scene with good reason. It's a really excellent wool. So why do we need other breeds? Contentious question. If you've got thoughts, pop them in the comments. From a resource perspective, right, I think it's a no-brainer because there's different agricultural contexts. Like merino sheep actually don't cope well with all climates. Other breeds do, right? So the agricultural context, climate, topography, also what do people need them for? So it's hard to breed excellent for excellent wool and for excellent meat. So having different varieties or different breeds of sheep for different sort of resources that are used. For health prevention, right, the diversity of DNA and genetic immunities to different kinds of sheep diseases and things. So all of these things, they're all good reasons for sheep diversity or breed diversity, but they all position sheep as a resource that we extract things from. And I don't know, it's just not quite as interesting to me. I'm more interested in about the relational and the social and the cultural and the spiritual and the psychological kind of entanglements that we have with different breeds across time, right? So, for example, you couldn't just replace Icelandic sheep with some other Northern European short-tailed breed and not have a big cultural impact, right? Icelanders would not feel the same about another breed, even if the breed gave them just as good a wool, just as good a meat, even if it was better, whatever that means, right? Because the history of inhabiting place together across generations of each other's families seems deeply important in the cultural system, right? So, and let's assume that's the same for all breeds, that people's families have been coexisting and inhabiting place together with these different breeds. And that heritage and that ancestry, shared ancestry together actually really matters. In some way, I think it's obviously less tangible. But I guess this is one of the things I'm exploring in the research. I don't know. Curious to hear your thoughts. If you have some thoughts about that, pop them in the comments. Always happy to have a little online chat about that. Does it matter to preserve rare sheep breeds? Why do you think it matters? I mean, as a spinner and a knitter, oh my goodness, diversity is the best. I do remember a time when I was just like, why do people ever knit with anything other than merino? It's so soft and lovely. Or, merino silk, merino alpaca. Had such a soft wool kind of bias. And the more I'm kind of exploring and getting curious about other textured wools, the more I kind of realise how limiting and restricting that is. And that actually the last time I knitted with merino, I was like, well, this is a bit boring. It was really interesting. The other thing that I've really been thinking a bit about is that it's so hard to describe what a breed fleece is like because the way the fleece is processed makes such a difference. And of course, individual fleeces are different because individual sheep are having different lives that are impacting on their way their fleece is growing. But say, right, Icelandic wool has this reputation for being scratchy, but most people's experience of Icelandic wool is only Istex wool. And that is produced in a particular way that produces a particular textured wool. And there's other wool that is produced in Iceland, I just happen to have some here, that is produced in a different way. This is from the Uppspunni mill. This is the Huldband. It's like an Aran weight. Oh. Fleece sniffer. And it's not scratchy at all. I mean, maybe I wouldn't make a scarf with it. But when I knit a sweater with this, I'm not going to need a collar to stop it being on my skin. It's really lovely. Anyway, so yeah, you can't just kind of say, oh, one breed is like this. It depends how it's processed. Right, that's a good segue into what have I been making. I have finished the Seafairdy vest by Gudrun Johnson, and I love it. I have worn it every day since it dried. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, what's my Instagram handle? Liz Making With, I think it is. Anyway, you would have seen me needle felting the steek edges on this a few days ago, and some photos of my first outfit. And yeah, I am totally loving it. I don't have a lot of space to show you, but yeah, it's just like this. No, it's a vest. Now, before you get too excited about the amazing colour combinations, it wasn't me. Credit goes to Alicia Edmiston. It's Edmiston. You can find her vest project and many others on Ravelry on the project page. And I knit this in the recommended yarn, Jamisons of Shetland, and I love their yarn, so good. Because at the end of last year, I decided that 2025 was going to be a year of getting better at colour, because I was getting just too frequently disappointed by the colour combinations I was choosing for knit projects. It's just a little side project from the PhD. But copying other people's excellent colour selections is one of my learning strategies. It's really, really useful, actually. It surprises me that copying is a useful learning strategy, but it is. For me, at least. Okay. I have also made some excellent project on my Benjamina Loperpesa by Fakir Knitting. Now, this is not on Ravelry. You can only get this by emailing Maria, but you can find her on Facebook. So Fakir Knitting is Feykir, and the Benjamina is a beautiful pattern. I can't show it to you yet because I haven't got to the yoke, but yeah, you can find details of it on Facebook and just email her and you pay for it via PayPal. She sends it to you. It is in Icelandic, so you'll need Google to help you translate it. Google's not great with Icelandic, but it is good enough for a pattern. If you have knit a sweater before, even if you haven't, it's good enough. So I haven't been able to show you this, I think, for ages because I've been filming in the field. But I've had the body done, it's about up to here, for a little while now. And I actually still have to measure this to check that it's right. But this pattern, you get to this part and then you do some short rows on the back and then you go into the yoke, which I haven't come across before. So see how that goes. And the progress I have done since the last videos, I finished this first sleeve. So that's very exciting. It looks kind of pretty wonky at the moment, but it will block out beautifully, I hope. And then yesterday I made a good start on the second sleeve. I reckon I could have that done in the next couple of days. So I think this sweater will be another couple of weeks and then I'll have that done. I am then going to start a third Loperpesa, but my first one in Plutolope, which I meant to bring it and I forgot, but give me a second. I will just grab it and excuse the bag rustling. Okay. If you haven't come across this before, this is it's not yarn because it's not twisted enough, right? It's a mild, lightly felted. It's called Plutolope and it comes in these plates, and this is what you knit with. You hold two together, and like it's quite fragile, like it breaks super easy. So I've got to find out from somebody what happens if you need to frog your project, if you need to take some back. Like, can you frog this or not? So we'll see about that. But anyway, it's quite lovely, and I got this from Thingborg. It's in the south of Iceland. I'm not sure if they ship internationally, but it's a collective of women who love wool, and every January they go to the Istex scouring mill and they get the keys to the place for the weekend, and they go through all the bags of yarn that have come in from farmers from all over the country. They pull out the ones they love the most, up to about a ton, I think, and then Istex scours it for them, but very mildly, and processes it into this plutelope. So it's this very kind of minimally processed product. It's not dyed, and it's really lovely. Anyway, I have bought quite a lot. Some of it I have sent home to Australia. And yes, but my next sweater is going to be with that. And I suspect once I've knitted with this, I'll never want to knit with anything again, anything different. But and it's not the only country that does kind of an unspun yarn. I don't even know what the verb is to describe the processing to create this. I mean, you could call it a pencil roving, I guess, like it's just carded, but I don't know. I would love to I'm hoping to get in to see the Istex mill and how they make this at some point in this research. It'd be really cool. Anyway, just love this. One thing I suspect about this though, it's not the kind of thing you can just kind of take on the bus with you because of the fragility of the plates. So I think when I'm knitting this, I'm also going to start some mitten projects as well. So I've got something to knit with me when I'm on the go, because I do not like sitting around not knitting when I could be knitting. So that's what's on the cards next, but that'll be a couple of weeks away. Oh, I should have said did I say? I might have said the Benjamina I'm making is with, I am using Huldband from Upspunni, and it's these two colours, the main colour and the contrast colour. And there's no dye lots on them because they're undyed. And you just get what you get when you go into the store in terms of colours, because they're all just based on whatever fleeces they were processing, which I think is really, I like it. Okay, now I'm just babbling. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.